When we opened the New York City Discovery Studio, it's fair to say it was a bit of an inflection point because we have something here that we don't have anywhere else. We have the loft, the frontier, hosting a whole new suite of brands. And today I think we're going to take a closer look at the frontier of watchmaking from Atelier Wen. Let's get into it. So, Robin, tell me, describe the frontier of Atelier Wen watchmaking. What is the landscape that the brand is really tackling?
Creating? You have it right in front of you. It's this one, the inflection. I think the idea with this watch, first and foremost for us, was to really explore like the boundaries, the limits, the frontiers of what we could do, and we thus decided to take on a challenge that, well, no one really had taken before, which was to make watches that is entirely made of tantalum, and by this I mean the case and the bracelet, and not just to sort of like have that as a one-off that you can see maybe one day at an auction, but to have that as piece we actually make, we actually sell, and that people actually wear. And we started working on that in 2022. Back then there were no actually like fully full tantalum pieces. Then there was a piece unique from Journe, a piece unique from Vuitton, but we were the third ones to sort of showcase that it's possible. But then the goal for us was really to go beyond that and to make it and sell it and yeah, not just have it as a pure like curiosity item, but more like an actual watch. So there it is. And I think the rationale for us, besides the choices of tantalum and whatnot, it was really to show that the brand is more than just like a micro brand, if you may. I think like when you start and when you start a brand, you easily sort of get that tag, that label attached to you. And I mean, it's fair to say, you start, it's very few people, very few watches, you start with Kickstarter and whatnot. But I think for us, the vision was always to go beyond that. We didn't just want to be, like two guys in their garage making watches on the weekend.
Yeah.
We want to build like a real solid, long-lasting brand. And I think with that, we wanted to show that, we're not just about making affordable, sort of like very like cost-efficient things that will do well in the super accessible realms, but we can also do like proper like high watchmaking, haute horlogerie. We actually have the capabilities, the creativity, the skills, and yeah, we wanted to make that statement, and that piece is just a statement.
Yeah, and I think as well, part of the frontier that you were really, bringing into the mix was this element of showcasing, Chinese design elements as well in a new way, and in a way that really helps people understand that the sort of, even if it's just a fraction of the components or elements, that made in China is not a blemish, it's an advantage.
Yeah.
It's a feature. And so can we touch on a little bit of those elements that you've brought into the brand?
I mean, there's a lot of them, and I think what's interesting with our brand is that we don't just focus on the sort of like made in China, but most importantly for us, it's also the kind of created and ideated in China. We don't just see China as the manufacturing place, but it's also the place of creativity. And in this watch, it's even more apparent than with others, because this watch also has components that are not Chinese. But if I were to sort of like drill down into like the celebration of Chinese culture and craftsmanship in this watch, there's definitely like quite a lot of elements. In the most direct way, you have the dial, which is grand feu enamel by the workshop of Kong Lingjun, who's like the best enameler in China for watch dials. So like a really beautiful dial that looks sort of like simple, but that is not simple to make. Then in the design itself, it was very interesting for us because we sort of were drawn by that principle of duality, which is sort of one of the key principles in like Chinese philosophy. So you have a design which itself is like very rounded, very soft, which kind of looks light, and then when you hold it, it's like boom, you feel the weight, you feel the density, and duality is all about that. It's about this idea that things that may look different are actually just two sides of the same thing. It's the same idea as yin and yang, and you see it there. I think the coolest one, and I don't think that had ever been done before, is like, so the movement is made by Girard-Perregaux, but we fully redesigned that movement, and our designer Alfred Chan redesigned it so that it could like mirror some like Chinese aesthetic principles and cultural references. So we brought the Chinese culture in the way the movement was redesigned, and I think usually it sort of goes from like the west to the east, but this time it went from the east to the west, which I don't think I've seen before. And so if you look at the GP03300, which is the base movement we use, in the base version it's like very angular, very straight, very sharp. And again, we went for the opposite. We like skeletonized it in a very rounded, soft, curved way. We also went for like a very unique Côte de Genève that was very hard to develop, which looks like super 3D, super wavy. Actually, it's not made with the Côte de Genève process. It was a brand new process that took like months to figure out. And so this way, even though it's a Swiss movement, I think we're still able to celebrate the Chinese culture and which is really the core of our brand.
Yeah, and so, I mean, just for the viewers who are not necessarily as familiar with the inflection just yet, give me like the sort of the quick spec check. Like what size are we talking here?
Yeah, so we're talking about like a 40 watch, but it's not a big 40 because the case tapers a lot. It's 10.4 if I'm not mistaken on the thickness, so it's fairly thin, but we really increase the feeling of thinness by layering the case a lot. So you can see the bezel is split from the mid case, which is split from the case back. Even like on the mid case, we added that line to really break the sort of like continuity of the metal. And then you have Grand-Feu enamel dial made by the workshop of Chun and a uniquely customized like Girard-Perregaux 3300 movement, which is done exclusively for us by GP. It was not just about, changing engravings and color. It was fully redesigning all the bridges, new finishing scheme, new rotor. So quite an extensive piece of work. Then a lot of like small cool stuff. It's 100 meters water resistant. You have like a very intuitive micro adjustment. You have those telescopic blades, which make it more comfortable. So a lot of nice features. Chief one being it's obviously made of like full tantalum, but it's not an alloy. It's 99.99%.
And even the micro adjust is in tantalum.
Yeah. So the shell, even the button, like I tell you, to do that kind of like hammered finish on the button, that's a nightmare. All this polishing to do on the tantalum, it's a nightmare. To a lesser extent, also those brushed surfaces on like those curved links, it's also quite tough to do. So yeah, that's not an easy one.
The finishing on the bracelet is top notch, and I really want people to understand that like when we talk about we use the word frontier and it can sound a little buzzy and markety, but like this watch really is indicative of pushing the frontier of watchmaking. Even just in the clasp alone, I always complain that sometimes the folding arm of a clasp is too wide. For my smaller wrist, there's the fixed flare. So literally as you close the clasp, you can see it's going in and becoming smaller. So it's really just the perfect length really for any wrist. I don't understand when folding arms are longer than the lug to lug of a watch. It makes no sense to me. So you're really pushing the boundaries on some of these really small, minute details that only like proper watch guys know, but it's important.
But as you say, like I like the fact that you use the word proper watch guys, because the idea for us was to do a proper watch, in a very holistic way. I think when you start as a micro brand, as a small brand, you usually tend to pick an area of focus. It's like, we're going to be all about dials, we're going to be all about some kind of finishing or some straps and whatnot. But it's actually pretty hard to eventually come up with something that is sort of like 360 degree to the max of what you can do and to be then a proper watch, if you may. And that's really what we try to do there, to have everything done to the best of what we could do. I mean, of course, there's brands that can do it even better. You go to Patek, you go to Vacheron, to Grobel. Of course, it's going to be better, but that at least is the best of what we could do when we started that project, and also it helped us to learn and eventually, hopefully, to do even more ambitious and more crazy.
But
more
in
cool.
fairness, the small details like the clasp, the micro adjust, a big detail like tantalum, or a heavy detail because the heft on this watch feels great. All those Trinity brands and high-end independents that you're talking about, they don't do this. They're not capable. They don't have.
No, they don't have the
adjust.
tantalum. No, it's true, and they sort of like rest a bit on like what they've been doing for many years. But also, that's a blessing in disguise for us because it gives us an opportunity to do those things that they don't and not like spend 5 years like Grand Seiko to develop a micro adjust, but just do it.
Yeah. Because the thing that's important to know, guys, is that you are going to be able, for a limited time, to order an Inflection from us, not just here in the studio, but in our Time+Tide shop. And we'll have all the full details in the description below. But just to give them an idea of roughly the pricing.
Yeah, so the price is 29,000 US.
Yeah.
And that's the price. If you don't take the bracelet, because we also offer the watch on like an FKM and sailcloth strap, then it's basically 10 grand less, so 19,000. The bracelet, as you may guess, is insanely expensive to make.
Sure. Let's say in 10 minutes I'm posting a reel of the Inflection.
Yeah.
In your mind, what is the soundtrack? What is the song selection that best embodies Atelier Wen, the Atelier Wen Inflection, and basically the frontier of your watchmaking? What's the song you would choose?
Oh, that's a good one, actually. That's a bit of a curveball. I think for this watch particularly, I would pick, I don't know if you know this band called Parcels. It's actually an Australian band, so maybe everyone knows them. And they released that album, like I think they recorded it in Berlin in a super fancy studio where David Bowie used to record as well. Anyhow, and they have, I forgot the name of the song, but one which is kind of like pretty upbeat, but with a very strong like upward progression. So to me, that would kind of embody the spirit, because we worked super hard to achieve something that most people believe we couldn't achieve, and then we still did it. So I would take one of those songs from this album for this watch. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts on the Inflection watch, and if you want to learn more about it or get to hold it in hand, come over to 460 Broome Street. Go to the Time+Tide shop website. Thank you so much, Robin.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
And as always, I'll see you on the next one.